All right. Another episode for Channeling Sports. Really cool guest. I have Taiki Green. He's the co-founder of Momentum, and he co-founded that with Trevor Bauer, front runner for National Cy Young Award. And I'm gonna say that unfortunately because I'm a Mets fan. I would like DeGrom to win it, but he went back to back here, so we're gonna hand it off to somebody else. We can't take all the attention from everybody. But Taiki, thank you so much for hopping on. Big fan of your work. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, sure. So let's get right into it. So I want to know first, I guess, the origins of Momentum, and I guess kind of how you and Trevor got connected and what kind of started this whole wave for your company.
Yeah. So let's see. We'll date it back to 2013. I was still playing baseball, and I was training at a local facility called Driveline Baseball, which is based out of Kent, Washington.
Yep.
And I think I was a junior in high school at the time, and Trevor Bauer was I think he just finished his first year in Arizona, had a very rough time there. So he had reached out to Kyle Bodie, the owner of Driveline, and went out to see him. I didn't actually know Trevor that well. I know he's like some college phenom and all that type of stuff, but seeing him in person, it's kind of like this scrawny, like 6'2", 6'3" guy. I was like, this is the guy that won Golden Spikes?
Right.
Dang. And I watched him throw, and I was like, oh, that makes total sense. I mean, this guy is dialed in. So we kind of trained together, kind of kept in touch, not really. And then fast forward a couple more years, I had started working at Driveline as a trainer. I think I was like the third employee there. And Trevor decided to move out to Seattle in the off season and just train there full time. So during those couple of years, basically 3 or 4 years, we became really good friends because while I was being a trainer, I was finding more of a passion about video. So Trevor and I would stay up till 1 or 2 at the facility in the morning, just like filming pitches on the Edgertronic, which is a slow motion camera, and analyzing the footage in my editing timeline, and to help him visualize more on how his pitches were like coming off his fingertips and all that, like the frame by frame. I would animate it and try to give him a better visual. And through that process is how I became a better storyteller and a better video editor, was literally by analyzing this high speed film, which is pretty boring to most people, but I found like a great enjoyment in seeing Trevor like look at it and be like, oh, I get it now, like that's clicking for me.
Right.
So we basically became really good friends through that. We went on some trips together. He was kind of getting into content. He was like obviously drone flying and stuff, and he was learning how to edit those drone flights or whatever. So we would kind of exchange like editing tips that we'd find on YouTube, like all these like cool transitions and stuff like that. And we went on a few trips. We went to Yellowstone together, filmed some cool content there. We went to Iceland one off season, filmed some content there. And then 2018, I had left Driveline to go freelance full time. I really wanted to dedicate more of my time to videography and filmmaking. And it was it was spring training of 2018. Trevor had gotten into some controversy, like he tends to do, maybe not as much more now, but back then he was causing up some kind of storm. I think he said something and the media pulled the quote, and it was like publicized all over the place, polarized. So the team got after him a little bit. He was in a bad mood, so I had went out there just to go see him since I didn't really have much else to do. And it was right at that time that he was like super frustrated. So he was like, hey, do you want to go on a drive to Sedona in Arizona? It's like 3 or 4 hours away. It's really pretty. He wanted to drive his new car, which was a McLaren, super nice car. And on that drive, we were just chatting in the car about random stuff. He's asking me how I'm doing. I'm asking how he's doing. He's talking about how the media has this narrative on him that's been following him since he got drafted, and everything that he says kind of conforms to that narrative that was set in like in 2014 and 2015. He's a bad teammate, tough to work with. He's all about himself, all these types of things. And he was kind of venting about how he has no way to defend that. The media, for better or for worse, at that point in time, kind of controls your narrative. If there's like 4 or 5 media members that don't like you, they absolutely can,
Yeah, they can
change.
destroy you.
They can change the opinions on millions of people.
Yep.
And Trevor has really no way of doing that besides, or players in general have no way of doing it by maybe doing like an Instagram story, like, oh, that's not true. But like, how much weight does that hold versus like 8 articles written about you from 8 different publications? That's going to be way more powerful than like an Instagram story saying, oh, I didn't say that like that. So on that, let's see, 6-hour car ride, a round trip, we kind of hashed the idea of maybe we should create a platform for baseball players to be able to express themselves freely and take control of their own narrative. So it's kind of from then on, we had to kind of hatch the plan of momentum. Basically took the next like 9 months. We took it seriously, but he was busy, I was busy. With ideas like that are just so grandiose, like it's kind of, there's just so much to do. You don't really know where to start.
Right.
So it's kind of a lot of, we need to do an LLC. We need to think of the logo. We need to think of the name and all these types of things. So we had put some time into it, but we were doing our other things and all that. And I think it was probably in the fall when we had built a website, we had finalized the logos, we had filed the name, where things started to get pretty real. I was taking it a lot more serious. I'm like, oh, this is like, I think this could be like something serious. You talk about with your buddies some crazy ideas and you're like, oh yeah, we'll do it for sure. But
all the time, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really follow through. It's kind of like that in the beginning, honestly. But once we started doing, having the name on paper, bought the domain, things started to feel really real to me. So I kind of had to change my perspective on, I mean, this is ultimately all the things that I want to do. I want to humanize people. Baseball is a huge passion of mine, and I love storytelling. And so combining that into one thing, I mean, it's kind of like a match made in heaven. There isn't like, if you asked me like 5 years ago what my perfect job was, this is probably it. It kind of hits on all the things that I want to do in my life and what my purpose is ultimately. So probably come December, we had done a few film shoots to kind of prep for our launch. We had filmed a documentary with Mike Clevenger.
Yep.
We had gone to Puerto Rico with Javi Baez and Jose Barrios to film a random bunch of things. It was early in our filming day, so a lot of it was not as streamlined as I would have liked. It's probably a good way to say it, but it was a lot of fun. And we filmed a few other pieces of content just for our launch, and we launched in January of 2019. And not to go too far into it, but it's kind of been just a crazy year and a half, almost 2 years now, of just nonstop content, trying to figure out our audience and trying to build out this brand, this little brand that we have now, into something that's hopefully a larger platform in the next few years. So it's been a cool ride. It's been a really cool ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've kind of more this year, I've been watching Trevor's vlog and all that stuff, and I think you guys have really taken off a lot this year in terms of like subscribers and the attention you guys have been getting. So absolutely, your growth has been fantastic. But now I kind of want to know is what's your ultimate goal for Momentum in terms of like the player side or even the fan side as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, the goal has kind of been the same since day one. We just want to create better connections between the fan and players. Ultimately, if a player is being real with, say, me or whoever's interviewing them on camera, that's ultimately going to create a better connection between the fan, as opposed to a reporter sticks a mic in front of a person's face after they just give up 10 runs in an inning, and the guy's like, yeah, it sucked, but my team fought hard, and then that's it. Like, nobody likes that. Literally, it's a lose-lose for everybody. But if we're able to interview a guy about, say, the Astro scandal, we interviewed Trevor about it, and he was very, very authentic, very raw on camera. And Obviously, a lot of the stuff that didn't make the full video, that's for us to keep, and we're not gonna, post that because he doesn't want us to. Like, we send him the video, he gets to see it, and I think that creates a better connection between the fans because that's him. You're literally getting that person at its near purest form versus this whitewash type of answers. We're able to get real content, and the goal is always going to be our content is going to be real. We're going to show players their true selves and their best form, of course. But I want to show fans that these players are humans, and I think through that, having that emotional connection, I think will be a lot stronger than just liking a player because he's good. You have like another additive of I'm going to connect to him on like an emotional basis or like some type of other attribute that ties me into that player.
Right. And kind of like what you were saying about Trevor and being like his purest form, like anybody who's watched him speak on, his vlog or any one of his things that he does, he is very authentic and he doesn't really hold back, especially when it comes to MLB and the people running MLB. So that kind of transitions into the next question where, what do you think you guys can do in terms of the game of baseball? Because there are a lot of restrictions for the players and, like I said, Trevor doesn't hold back, because a lot of it falls on him because he tries to do stuff for, momentum and other things. And so what can you guys kind of do to kind of break certain stigmas and certain restrictions and kind of have people see like the different side of baseball? Because if you are a true baseball fan, like yourself, you see like the beauty in the game and the excitement, but it's hard to see it because of the way the game is marketed and all that stuff. So how do you guys kind of come into that?
Yeah, so you're saying that how do we break like the kind of culture aspect around like this kind of
Yeah.
media type thing? Um, don't get me wrong, it's like the hardest problem to solve. We're at a disadvantage versus like football and basketball where they essentially get the idea of content is good. I think the
Right.
narrative right now is that because there's so much media, it's getting a little bit better now. There's been so much of media trying to get the gotcha quotes for their nice articles to tweet about. That nice little sentence that kind of is a clickbait. A lot of players just don't see the point in talking. I'm making $50 million every 2 years. Like, why on earth would I want to stick a camera in my face? I literally see no value in that. All I see is a lose. And that's just not the case. Players have a finite time in the spotlight. And, the 1% of the 1%, get to have enough money to live for a long time. And I think that's great. But there's, a large majority of the league that for better or for worse, may not be there they may not have the 15-year career. They may have 3 years. They may have 4 years. They may have a year and then they get hurt and then they try to claw back, but they can't. And
Absolutely.
I just think players need to realize that they have this opportunity to capture an audience that is, to millions of fans. I know it's smaller than basketball and football, but it's a lot of people that are watching baseball still. And
Absolutely.
to be able to maximize your time in that spotlight by doing content, showing your personality, having fans attach themselves to your personality, and those fans become lifelong fans versus just for that year or two window. And I think that narrative is going to change more. I think people are starting to see it more with Trevor. They realize like what he's doing. The narrative on Trevor, it has changed quite a bit. I think a lot more people are seeing him more as a thought leader and trying to change the game of baseball for the better. You asked what Trevor is like 2 or 3 years ago, and I would guarantee the answers are going to be way, way different.
Yeah.
Pompous asshole, cares about himself and only himself. Doesn't like his teammates, and I just don't think that's the narrative anymore. I could be wrong. I'm pretty biased, obviously.
Yeah.
But even just seeing like we have a PR firm that we work with, and they pull the keywords that people search for on Google, and it's changed pretty dramatically on what people search for using Trevor's name. So I think a lot of people are seeing that, and we're showing that internally with players as well. Like, hey, like, you're a great guy. You have a really good personality. I really think that given the tools that we can give you, you're going to be able to like carry this audience, far beyond your career. When you're 50, you're going to be able to have a 500,000 a subscriber on YouTube that earns you X amount of dollars passively, as opposed to having to do your local car commercials, which is totally fine. You could do that too, but to have like revenue that kind of exceeds beyond baseball, I think that's a really cool opportunity. We're in a unique digital age to be able to have these platforms for people. And I think the more and more people that realize that, I think that's how we change the culture is just people realizing that it's important to have a platform, especially in this day and age.
Absolutely. And that, that even extends into post-playing career opportunities because, a lot of players don't really see that in the moment, in the time that they're playing. So that would definitely maximize that. And also one other point is that I was never really like a Trevor Bauer fan this year. And now all of a sudden I see everything that he's doing, like with his vlogs and stuff. And then one day I turned on a Reds game to watch him pitch. In the middle, I'm like, what am I doing? I never in my life would I ever turn on a Reds game. I'm a Mets fan from Jersey. Like, why would I do that? And that's when I kind of clicked, like, wow, this really works. You know what I mean? Like that, it reaches, to a whole group of people. So you're absolutely right with that. And last question I have for you is, what's next for Momentum in terms of the future and the goals you guys have, maybe in the next like couple of years? Where do you guys see yourself going?
Yeah, so I would love to just be known as like the premier destination for off-field content for baseball. I would love to have all of our content hosted kind of on our platform. I would love to have more vlogs on our platform. That's kind of like the immediate future. We plan on, having more player follows, more different types of content we have a guy playing the Mexican League right now in winter ball. Want him to like vlog that, show the insight of like what Mexican baseball is like. Super interesting. Have other players on our platform as well. While Trevor is great, and he's like really championing Momentum because he's obviously an owner in it. Would love to have more consistent characters in our platform, and I think we're getting there. It's just it's an uphill battle. There's a lot of competing forces, MLB and the whole culture around it that may sway players into not wanting or not seeing exactly the bigger picture about it. But we have a few guys in mind that, Mike Clevender is a great example. He loves what we're doing, and we love working with him. So having him in our platform more often, I think will provide a better base for Momentum. So it's not just Trevor, which it is more or less dominated by Trevor's presence, which is fine. But hopefully in the next couple of years we're able to expand to different markets, different players, and have that more consistently in our platform.
Right. And real quick, those guys like that you want to reach on like different stages, like the Winter League you're talking about, do they all need like those cameras that that Trevor uses, or like are those done by phone?
Literally whatever they have. I mean, they could basically shoot on an iPhone 4. I could really give a shit. I think a lot of the focus on that isn't necessarily on like the cinematic quality. It's a lot about just the insight and like the cool access of like being in the clubhouse when like they win the Mexican Winter League World Series or whatever they call it. Having like the champagne with like the iPhone or whatever. I think that's going to be super interesting. We actually have a vlog right now with Hayden Cantrell. He's a Brewers prospect. Got drafted this year. That's all shot on iPhone. Taking the focus away from cinematic value and just having like raw, authentic content is a pretty big focus. And obviously we're going to have, our cinematic pieces. We have a few projects that'll be more for like mainstream, like Hulu, Netflix type platforms that'll be coming up in the next couple of years. But for our YouTube audience and social media, I think a lot of the younger folks care more about just these cool vlogs because it's great insight. It's real. No frills, just you get what you get and you get real reactions in real time. So just more of that. Just want to cover like all spans of content for whoever wants it. If you want to watch an hour and a half documentary on, whatever it is on Netflix, sure. So we got that. You want to watch 15 minutes of Trevor, post game after he shoved 13 Ks, 7 innings, we have that too. So just want to cover it all.
Gotcha. Well, that's all I got for you. I really appreciate your time. Very generous to your time. And it was really cool talking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. I'll hopefully we connect in the future, and best of luck.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Awesome. Thank you.